Good morning. Wanted to come and do a video today. I just got back from the US. Went to the US for a month and hadn't planned on it, but some family things came up. So I went back and took care of that and just arrived back not even 2 days ago, I guess Friday night late. So I'm still trying to get my bearings here, but I thought I'd do a video about what it was to travel back to the Philippines around the 1st of July. So hopefully this helps you if you're going to travel to the Philippines from the USA. I actually traveled from Chicago, flew out of Chicago O'Hare, and it was actually a good trip, probably better than the trip than when I went over about a month ago, but it was a pretty good trip. I flew Korean Air, had a layover in Seoul, Korea, very nice clean airport. But to get started on this, what I wanted to talk about is I didn't need a RT-PCR or an antigen test this time because while I was there, I got boosted. So I'd had one shot before, J&J, and now I got a booster, a Pfizer, and that allowed me not have to test when I came back into the Philippines, which was nice. Also, I've got an upcoming trip I needed to be boosted for in order to enjoy everything with that trip here in the Philippines. So that was my reasoning behind getting boosted. I won't get into all that, but it just made things easier. It will make things easier for me traveling the way I like to travel. So that was a good thing. So if you're fully vaccinated and you have a booster, you no longer need to do a test prior to coming back into the Philippines, which is really nice. The biggest thing I had, kind of not really a challenge, but it's probably the most in-depth thing I did, was the Bureau of Quarantine here in the Philippines, the One Health Pass. You have to register with them and fill out this. It's online, but One Health Pass, and it's pretty detailed. I mean, it gets down to asking your seat number and all this kind of stuff, but it's quite a lengthy form. You need to do it, but it is online, so it's fairly straightforward. It just takes, it's a little time consuming, but you get that done. That was really the biggest thing before I traveled. I already had my vaccination card, I had my ticket, you know, and all that, so it made it really simple. Once left Chicago and got to Seoul. Seoul's whole, coming from the Philippines over to the US and then coming back, both times you have to go through their security check. I thought it's more because we're coming from the Philippines, but even from the US, from Chicago, as soon as you land, you go back through their security, and it's pretty fast. They don't make you take off your shoes like in the US, but it's go through there, you scan your passport, go through the little security check, and then from there on, you're back looking for your next gate if you're, you know, just doing a transfer, which I was. So that was all good. Like I said, pretty simple, but Korea doesn't play on their security, which is a good thing. But other than that, really didn't need anything. When, as we were going to the Philippines from Korea, the flight attendants handed out a couple forms, standard forms that you fill out prior to landing to enter the Philippines. One was a customs, one was just, you know, basic information, kind of like the One Health Pass. Is almost identical to that, just not as lengthy. And then once landed, they guided you toward immigration here at Manila, NAIA, and come in. They took me to a room with other passengers, not just by myself, but go to a room and they check. They go in You sit on these seats, and it's in order. And they were pretty quick about the going back to the I guess a One Health Pass. Make sure you fill that out. I tried to do mine. It must have been maybe 4 days ahead of time before I flew out from Chicago, and it lets you know right away. You got to do it within 72 hours. So I waited a day, went back in and did mine. So that's just one heads up. Within 72 hours of your flight time departure, whatever time your flight departs. If you're don't have a booster, you need to get that antigen test within 24 hours or RT-PCR within 48 hours. So just keep that in mind. And the site I like using more than really anything, you can go to the different Bureau of Immigration sites for the Philippines and other government sites. But I like the Philippine Air site. I didn't fly Philippine Air, but they always stay on top of the immigration, the latest changes. So that's good. So I refer you to Philippine Airlines site, and they list everything for what you need for entry. So hopefully that helps you as well. Trying to think what else I wanted to pass along. Yeah, like I said, if you get boosted, you don't have to worry about that test. If you don't, then like I said, make sure you get those tests done so you're not rejected at the airport check-in counter, because when you check in for your flight, no matter what airline it is, they will be checking that stuff. And so, but like I said, it's a pretty easy process. I know on the outbound going to the U.S., Korean Air, it was just chaos, like a lot of times is when you're leaving NAIA. It was a long wait, probably hour and a half or something to check in. Just all the lines were long. Finally got through it. But coming back out from Chicago, it was smooth. Got there instead of 3 hours early, got there real early, 4 hours before. Walked right up to the counter, got checked in, went through through security. That was really quick. And then that was it. But they do check your IDs a lot. Just be warned. Even a one final check before boarding in Chicago as well as Korea. They do check your passport and your boarding pass. And then after you go through that last little checkpoint, kind of like in the Philippines as well, then you just show your boarding pass when you get on the aircraft. But that's good. Make sure if you're coming here and you're not on a special visa, or you're not a Filipino or a foreign national, and you're just simply a tourist coming here to visit, make sure you're vaccinated. They're not going to let you in. That's the key thing, and you won't get on the plane. Also, make sure your passport is valid for at least 6 months from the time you enter the Philippines. You know, you got 30 days, and you got to have that onward ticket. It don't have to be onward back to your origin. It could be you're going over to Thailand or something else. It just has to be leaving the Philippines and 30 days from the date you arrive. Or onward ticket, or you're just leaving after 30 days. Maybe you're going back if you're from the U.S. or wherever you're from. You're returning. So just make sure you have that onward ticket. And then if you're vaccinated, unvaccinated, partially vaccinated, or anything like that, you're not going to be allowed to enter. So unless they change that could change. They change your rules all the time, but that's kind of the way it stands now. And then the good thing is, if you've been vaccinated, there's no need for quarantine anymore. So if you boosted, you don't need the testing before you come back to the Philippines. You don't need to quarantine. So all those things are good. I think they tell you to self-monitor for 7 days. But like I said, you can check all these out. I'm not here giving you gospel. I'm just telling you mainly my experience and some of the things I know from having to do it recently. Yeah, check out PhilippineAirlines.com, and that should help you out. Also, yeah, it helps to have a pen with you. I'll just say that, because when you're on that flight and you're getting ready to enter the Philippines, you're flying from wherever you're coming from. They will have you fill out the forms. You need those. You could wait until you land. I just find it always easier. Go ahead and fill them out on the plane. which just speeds up the process a little bit more. You don't want to have to be filling out stuff when you land. I know, like me, I just want to get in, get out, and get on to what I'm doing. And in this case for me, because I've lived here a year, it's to go home in the Longapo area. So anyway, hopefully this video was informative a little bit. I just thought I'd share some of my experience with you. If it helps, then that's great. Hopefully it does. Like I said, there's a lot of resources out there. Just look them up through the Philippine government websites. Like I said, Philippine Airlines, I can't mention that enough. They stay up to date. So all those things are good. I will be doing another video shortly, hopefully within a day or so. We'll see how things go. I'm trying to get back on track from just arriving back into the Philippines. But I want to talk about some of my experiences and things I went through for the first year here in the Philippines, and some of my thoughts. Hopefully some of that helps you. So stay tuned for that within the next week anyway. Also, I'm going next week actually today is Sunday, so this week coming, I'm going to be going to Batanes. That's located between the northern tip of Luzon and Taiwan. So it's kind of like right out there in the middle of the ocean. It's the northernmost province in the Philippines and the smallest. So I look forward to that. They just reopened back, I want to say mid-May. And up to June 30th, they were only allowing 50 tourists per week in Batanes. I'm not sure if that changed July 1st. If I find that out, I'll let you know. But there's kind of a lot of hoops you got to jump through. A lot of special passes you got to get besides the S-Pass. And you got to have a tour company that's going to basically sponsor you. You got to have a hotel. So you got to have a hotel. You got to have your tour company that's going to arrange everything, and then you've got to get all this stuff done in advance. If you don't, you're not getting in. Like I said, they were shut down for about 2 years, so they didn't allow outside tourists in during the pandemic. So they're just now kind of opening up. So they do have some strict rules, but I wanted to go there. It was on my bucket list, so hopefully I can bring you a lot of good stuff from Batanes. And then later on in July, I'm going to another destination here in the Philippines I think you'll like. So stay tuned to some of those videos, and thanks for watching. Please subscribe. This is George. Take care always. Bye-bye.